Well, good morning. Happy Sunday. This morning, we're talking about a conversation that I guess happened yesterday. I have feelings, like, I don't know. I don't know if this conversation was necessary. Maybe it was necessary. I guess all the conversations are kind of necessary. But okay. So yesterday I went to the library and I guess Ezra Klein donated a bunch of copies of his new book, which is called Abundance. So I got one. It was like a book gift. And he's doing a lecture series in November. I won't be here in November, but maybe I'll come back and do it. Some other notable mentions. Issa Rae put out a book. I definitely plan to cover that, but probably when I go to LA, we'll cover that more, because I am going. I told you guys this, but that is a thing that's really happening. Anyway, so Ta-nehisi Coates and Ezra Klein had a conversation about both of their articles, because Ezra Klein wrote an article about the Charlie Kirk murder, and then Ta-nehisi responded to it, basically saying, you have diminished this man's legacy. He said a bunch of things, right? And I read out the Ta-nehisi Coates article. You can actually just go listen to what Ezra Clark had to say. But I kind of want to talk about the social significance of this conversation. I think that so often, so many, I'm just going to start with black men, decide not to participate in conversations that are impacting society outside of their inner circle. So this could be maybe their mother, maybe their daughter, but they don't seem to feel like they have any general responsibility toward the collective black community, we could call it that, or kind of society in general. So even people, other adults of other racial groups. And so because so few of them say so little about things that are impacting kind of all of us, there's a very large amount of propaganda being put out about this group, about our group, that just isn't true. And so Ta-nehisi coming on and just saying anything is refreshing, because it's a reminder that we don't agree. And in the specific ways that we don't agree, even though both of these people find themselves members of what I would call the Democratic Party. So there's that. But there's another thing that happened. So there's this movie with Tiana Taylor and Leonardo DiCaprio that is out. I feel like I've kind of shared my sentiments about Tiana Taylor. I don't get it. But, some things are just not for me to get. So I'm not going to try to unpack it, whatever. But this movie, the way that the movie is advertised, it's very strange. It's like her being super pregnant with a gun. That's the picture for the movie or something. I can't. And so basically, I guess Vic went to go see the movie last night, and then he hops online to basically describe to us how offensive this movie was to black women in general. Now, just the picture was offensive, but then he said he went with his black wife and she was mortified by the movie, and I'm just okay. The movie was already giving me the ick, but supposedly it's a family drama in some way, but then it's about a revolutionary, and there's something called a semen demon, and a pussy police. I don't even, it was very complicated. I kind of don't want to see the movie because it sounds repulsive, but then I kind of do, because it almost sounds so offensive that I should make a video about how grotesque it is. The point is, it was so bothersome that Fit came on and had to tell us about it last night. And I think that is the important part, right? I feel like it's not even a new generation, but there's a way for those of us who care to be engaged with this community. It's kind of like what Seren was doing. If you actually know who Seren is, you understand that she could have just kept her conversations in Discord, in the community chat, in the group chat. She didn't have to come on and share her opinions with all of us. But the purpose of her coming on and sharing her opinions with all of us is so that we can literally have more engaged discourse about these conversations, which are actually impacting all of us, right? This is kind of why I feel like the Ezra Klein, Ta-nehisi Coates conversation was important. I feel like if you know both of those writers, then you understand that, like, they don't really have, like, similar lived experiences, and Ta-nehisi Coates is just, like, very black. And he just, like, understands, like, the black American plight in a way that maybe Ezra Klein could potentially empathize with, but has not lived it and is not, like, biologically related to that struggle in any way. It's like the way that I talk about Jews or the Holocaust. Like, I feel like I have a very base level understanding of what went down, but I'm not a Jew. So it's just kind of like, it was them. And I feel like that's probably the same way that most people relate to black Americans. They're like, they're the blacks. And it's like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're not a part of the community, there's no real reason that you should be engaging in our shit. So I kind of understand that. At the same time, I thought something was interesting. So Ezra said that he's been thinking about the Hillary Clinton deplorables comment. And I've heard Obama talk about this too. I've heard a couple, like, Democratic commentators talking about this deplorables comment. I hadn't heard it until this morning. So virtually, Hillary got up and talked about how on the right, there are a growing percentage of people in that party who are deplorables, and we will never be able to talk to them or converse with them because of their homophobia, their Islamophobia, their xenophobia, their sexism, their racism, all the isms. And she's right. Like, that is they are fucking deplorables, like, legitimately. Like, they won't ever cross over. And I think, like, when we're giving, like, names to them, you know, it's like they're the rednecks, they're like the crackers, I don't know, like, the group is, like, becoming more well-defined, where we can say, like, here's who they are, here's what they wear, here's how they look, like, they are there. And I think that there's been some want and some hope that, like, you know, there was some other side to them, that there was maybe something admirable about members of that group. There's also a certain thing where, and I heard Ezra say this, and I just want to touch on it here, but maybe I'll make a longer video about it. He called, he called Tucker Carlson a white nationalist. And I heard that, and then it made me think of two things. So nationalism is simply this idea of, like, you put your country first. So I think, yes, I definitely think that Tucker Carlson is a nationalist. And then Tucker Carlson is also white. But I don't think that Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist. So, like, I don't think that he has, like, his fundamental beliefs start with racism. Whereas, like, the guys who are making that little town in Idaho and in Arkansas, where it's, like, the all-white town, those are, like, white supremacists. Like, they believe that, like, the white race is superior. I don't think that is the belief that Tucker Carlson holds. The reason I think that this is, like, important is because, like, I feel like some people on the left are trying to demonize nationalism or patriotism, which I don't think is a good thing. Like, patriotism, if you really do see the novelty of America as this multicultural idea, it's the only one that exists. So there's something there. If you are actually proud of that, like, that's something to hold. And I heard Ta-nehisi say this as well. He said, I'm not giving up my citizenship. I am a part of this country too. Like, that's what he said. And I heard that, and I was like, see, and I want to make it very clear, that is where Ta-nehisi and myself veer off. Like, I am not a pro-nationalist. I do not believe in the idea of America. I do not believe that black life should continue in America. Ta-nehisi does. We are, like, fundamentally different there. Like, I don't believe in American exceptionalism. I do not believe in the American dream. I basically don't believe in America as the idea. That's kind of like the crux of it. And I think, like, it was, like, useful to hear him, like, say that and like, express it, because it makes sense why he keeps writing. And, like, who he's writing for. Right? Like, someone has to do the work to push this forward, but it like won't be me. And I think that's where the misunderstanding happens. The reason I talk about Ethiopia all the time is because I believe in, like, Pan-Africanism, not, like, African Americanism. I don't believe that. Like, those are different ideas fundamentally, and they have to do with, like, the government and structure of, like, where I believe that black people belong on the planet, and it is political. It just is. It just is. I just appreciate the conversation happening, though, because it really does show that, like, it's beyond just the words. Because if Ta-nehisi only only cared about, like, the thought of the country as a whole, because certain other things that he says are about his neighbors. He said, like, I will not dehumanize my neighbors. And I've talked about community and neighbors before too. I just don't believe that people from other racial groups have the capacity to empathize with black Americans and see them as neighbors. And I feel like over and over again, these people have come out and made that clear. And I think it's useful to take them at their word. The problem is, I feel like Ta-nehisi sees that as well, but he has some hope that these people will change or reform. I don't share that sentiment. I hope that kind of, like, clarifies some things. You should go listen to the conversation for yourself. And maybe engage with it, but I just thought it was, like, useful enough to talk about, because I think that Ta-nehisi is probably the most important writer of my lifetime, and I want to continue to make that clear. He's important even though I don't agree with him politically. Like, reading what Ta-nehisi Coates wrote about reparations was the most important written piece I've read in my life. It literally caused me to change my career trajectory, my location. It caused me to think about journalism and blackness in a different way. For me, and in my life, that is really important. That's really important, because somebody has to be that. And so my life is important. And the fact that something that he wrote and did changed the course of my life makes that significant. So that's the purpose of this video.